welcome to the Boopcast, episode 34, 45 minutes late. That's fine. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And this week we are discussing Chapter 6 of RWBY Volume 6, which the title of which I have forgotten. Alone in the Woods, that's what it's called. With special guests, EssyBessy, Jess, and Wade, who are below me here. You guys know them. They were on last year. I believe Wade was on the year before as well. Were you on the year before? Yeah, been on twice.
I don't remember. No, I think I've only been on one. I think I was only on one.
I don't fucking know. I don't even know. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on.
It's been a crazy time right now.
So many tech issues this morning. We could not add each other on Skype. It was a whole thing. But anyway, so for those who are watching who may not know either of you, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you got into RWBY, and starting with Jess?
Okay. Let's see. So how I started RWBY. Let's see. So I think I said this before, but I think around 2015, I saw the animation, didn't like it, no clue why. But then I think it was 2016, a friend of mine recommended it to me, and I got to see the trailers. I fell in love with it, and and I started telling almost all my friends about it because it's the best thing ever. Yeah.
And Wade, what about you?
As far as RWBY, I mean, I started watching it towards the end of Volume 1, because that's when I first found out about it. I didn't even know about it before then, but I pretty much been watching it since then. I think the first episode I saw was like episode 12 or 13 of Volume 1, and I only watched like the first 5 minutes of it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I started watching the rest of it. As far as what I do, I'm a mod in your channel.
Yes, Wade is one of my generals who moderates my Discord and my Twitch. So there's some info about our lovely guests today. So you can usually find him stalking the Discord or stalking the Twitch chat at any one time. So
I am a stalker.
Yeah, well. Okay, so Chapter 6 was a thing. And, okay, I have not taken notes. I have not watched the rewind, and I have not seen the RWBY, because I worked until midnight last night, and it's 9:17.
So, was I supposed to take notes?
No, not necessarily.
I mean, I have notes.
Cory's taken notes. So. Cory, you're in charge today.
Okay, so we'll start with the RWBY.
Yes.
The RWBY was just basically Miles talking about the apathy. And how he's had this idea for the apathy since before Volume 1. He's been apparently sitting on this story for 6.5 years.
Yeah.
Waiting to tell it.
He did tweet about that, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that was basically all that the RWBY was about, was him talking about how he wanted to do this, and then talking about the logistics of the apathy.
Cool.
And but I don't know, the rewind was more interesting than the RWBY. The first thing that was interesting in the rewind was that apparently the events of this are very influenced by, I don't know if it's a novel or a short story called Bartleby the Scrivener, which is about this guy who just one day suddenly stops working and just slowly stops doing things, and he eventually ends up dying of starvation because he just doesn't do anything. Okay. And Ellie said that was the inspiration, Miles's inspiration behind the apathy in this episode and everything. Which I don't know, I didn't pick up on that at all.
No, well, I'm not familiar with the story, so.
But then that explains, Bartleby, the leader of Brunswick Farms.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that's what Maria...
Every time I hear the name Bartleby, it just makes me think of Beetlejuice for some reason. So... don't know why.
I say that's all news to me because I don't actually watch the rewinds or the Krubies until after the season is over.
I usually would watch them every week, but didn't this week. Whoopsie. Yeah.
Yeah, you were a little busy.
Well, listen, I was working. Damn your work.
But somebody also, one of the commenters during the rewind, referred to the apathy as Grimentors, which I thought was super clever and funny. They also talked about how Carrie came up with the way that the apathy kills people is that they just slow you down until they catch up to you, and then using their 3 fingers, they scramble your insides.
Oof.
So that's horrifying.
That is horrifying. Oh, I tell you what, that shot of with the apathy reaching towards Blake with its
Blake,
fingers, my heart stopped. I was like, oh my god! Even though I knew that something was gonna happen and they were gonna be okay, it still made me go I don't
Please don't touch her.
Yeah, please don't touch her. Please don't hurt her.
There was also a lot of discussion on the rewind about if Salem has maybe thrown people into the pools of Grimm, and that's how they get different kinds of Grimm. Maybe. And I don't know, I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about. I personally don't think so. Just because they kind of made it sound like in episode 3 the only reason that Salem survived is because she's immortal.
Right, yeah.
It's basically just lava.
Yeah. Just thick, viscous tar. Or something. Something akin to that.
But yeah, that's how they were theorizing about how the apathy came to be. And then they also, last thing I have written down is they talked about how Team Junior would have reacted to this situation. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thought about how, Ren would have been affected or how Nora would have been affected and stuff. And I don't know. I just also then wondering how they would have taken them down if, they'd had Jean's semblance in the mix, or Ren's, would Ren's emotion blocker have even helped them in this situation?
Yeah.
Whatnot.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see how they would have handled this situation, but they're not there. Still. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to get really antsy about Team Junior. I need them back. I need to know they're okay.
Well, I told you last episode, I was I really don't think we're going to see Team Junior until, really late in the volume. And now, after this episode, I'm maybe we'll see him in, an episode or 2.
We better. I'm getting really, I hate the way that they just have, put them aside for basically half of the volume at this point. And they're we'll get back to Team Junior. I'm but we just spent so much time with them, and I'm
I both like it and don't like it because, one, we're missing half the group, but then on the other hand, because of that, they've been able to focus on the story of Ruby so much. The story's been very continuous and followed Ruby and, in some cases, Cinder, the entire time. They haven't needed to split up where their focus has been like they did in Volume 4.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I think this volume has been a lot better, is because they've been able to focus on one particular group the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just don't like that they need to discard half of the group to do that, but at the same time, I get why they're sort of trying to focus on Team Ruby at the moment, because they've been apart for so long. This is the first time they've actually been together in a long time, so but I'm getting really antsy. I need to know where they are and what they're doing, and I need to know they're okay.
They're waiting in Argus.
Same.
Yeah, they're just chilling in Argus.
Well, also, the other thing we have to realize is that it has only been a day in Ruby's storyline.
I know, but for us, it's been
the train
month.
crashed probably in the afternoon, and it is now the next morning.
Right.
Like about 24 hours have passed.
Probably not even. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, it's been a month of episodes, and we're like, what the fuck is Sting Jr.?
Exactly.
They need to come back. Yeah. So, anything else in the rewind?
Not really. Not that I thought was notable, at least.
So, yeah, this episode, I remember in my reaction getting really annoyed at everyone right at the start, because Crow was being a dick, and like, I couldn't understand why everybody thought it was just okay to just go to sleep where they were when they had just seen what happened to everybody else who went to sleep there last. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Crow's like, oh, you should go to sleep, and everyone's just going to sleep. I'm like, none of you are going to wake up. Do you see what's going on here?
I was not expecting one of them to not wake up, and I'm here like,
yeah.
No, don't do that.
I know, when Ruby was walking towards Crow in the morning, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
I know. I was having 17 heart attacks during that scene. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have done something like, like you keep watch now, kind of like they did during Volume 2.
Yeah.
Where it was like, one person watches out and just kind of watches over everybody while everybody else sleeps.
Yeah,
that was Crow's job.
Well, I mean, it was kind of Crow's job, but he was sort of also
I think he kind of did that without even saying anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, guys, what are you doing? Like, you saw what happened to everyone else who went to sleep here and never woke up. Why do you think it's okay to just take a fucking nap? Like, what are you doing? It was annoying me so much. I was like, this doesn't use your brains. But
even with Crow drinking as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. But I was actually surprised when they all woke up fine. I was like, really?
Well, I saw people discussing that they think that Crow dropping that bottle actually saved all of their lives.
Probably.
Because they would have just kept sleeping and sleeping and sleeping until they died, potentially.
They may have done, because Ruby did say that they overslept. Because Crow said he would wake them up before sunrise, which obviously he didn't, but...
Right, and Ruby was lethargic completely when she woke up, and she was just like, we overslept.
We overslept. Yeah. This whole episode was so creepy and had a really good, atmosphere to it. And again, there was quite, a lack of score for a lot of the scenes, which, it was a very silent episode. But allowed the sound design to shine out a bit more, I think. But Maria Calavera, I just love her. She steals every scene that she's in. So, when Ruby's like, we should get some sleep, Maria's like, oh, I'm not going to let a kid tell me what to do. Go to bed. Go to bed. And then she, sits in the chair and flicks the light on, and she's clearly has no interest in sleeping. So funny.
No.
And then Ruby's like, oh, whatever. I'm just going to let her do her thing. Oh, gosh. I love her so much. I really just want to know more about her and where she came from and what her deal is. We found out this episode that she has silver eyes, which is what...
Had.
That's
the key word, yeah.
Had silver eyes. But I need to know more about her and where she came from and was she a huntress? Was she not? What did she do before? What happened to her eyes? I'm scared that because Maria's really interesting because she is a living, breathing projection of what Ruby could become when she's 60. And it's a bit scary.
That was something they actually did discuss a lot on the rewind. Was they discussed 4 different theories about her eyes, and one was that they removed her eyes. That Salem's crew removed her eyes.
Yeah.
One was that they just degenerated because of
a mild
her.
Word.
True. That they just degenerated because of using the power, wears away their eyesight. Lindsay brought up a theory that maybe she gave them up to save somebody or something, and she talked about kind of like similar to like the maiden powers. Like maybe she had to like give her silver eyes away. I thought that was a little bit more of a kind of a weird theory.
That seems unlikely, but I can see the theory.
And then the last one was like, it was very similar to the like degenerating eyes. Oh, it was that they only have so many uses. So one was that just they degenerated on use, and the other one was just that like you can only use your silver eyes 15 times or something like that.
Yeah, I doubt that's the case either. The one that scares me the most is the idea of them degenerating over time.
Yeah.
And like good use. That's terrifying to me.
Yeah, it is. Because once again, she's a look into what Ruby could be.
Yeah.
Right. Also, one thing I had a thought about is, do you think that there are male silver-eyed warriors?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, there must be, but like we've only seen ladies so far, so I'm just like.
I mean, we've seen 2, so that's.
Well, we know of 3.
No, 3, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Summer.
Duh.
But that, yeah. My personal theory is the first one, with Salem probably removing her eyes, because just based on, I mean, this is kind of a stretch, but based on Hazel's comment from Volume 5, which we've dealt with their kind before, or I guess it was Volume 4. But yeah, it was, so they've dealt with them, meaning maybe they've done something to them. You know, like removing their eyes.
See, I interpreted that as to being a reference towards Summer Rose more than anything. I was thinking that might be some kind of hint towards Summer, because she was the only other silver-eyed warrior we knew of at the time.
I would say that yes, but then I think they would have worded it like we've dealt with one before, instead of we've dealt with their kind.
Yeah, so obviously they've seen more than one.
Right.
I don't know, though, because it's kind of weird, because Maria's come in at this point where they just learned all of this crap about Salem. But her reaction to it was kind of odd. And, like, I'm not sure that she has any, like, history with Salem or any of that. I don't think she was in the know to any of this before. She just doesn't.
Well, just because she was dealt with by like just because Hazel took her eyes doesn't mean she knew anything about like Salem.
I don't see Hazel doing that though. He's not exactly a ruthless person.
Right. It doesn't necessarily have to have been Hazel though. I mean, like
it was. I mean, it was probably Tyrion.
Well, yeah, or yeah, like eye for an eye. You know, like Tyrion seems like the kind of person that would deal with things like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if she has any like history with the villains of the show or not. I think she's just kind of a wild card at this point. She just sort of is there all of a sudden. I still don't know why the heck. I still have so many questions regarding Maria. Like why was she on the train? I mean, why was she going to Argus? Why is she now where she is? Why did she decide to be where she is? Yeah, I'm so confused by her still. So hopefully we get to learn a little bit more about her.
Yeah, you and I have said this like every episode since like episode 2 is we're like, let us learn more about her.
Yeah,
please.
Well, the thing is, they threw her in, and then they put in all of this like lore drop and all of this big plot to do with like Osmond's been hiding shit. What a surprise! And then they sort of put her on the back burner. She's just kind of there. So. And this was the first episode she had any real significance. So, yeah, I'm dying to learn more about her.
Right. She's clearly very important.
Oh, yeah. And I kind of knew from, like, the first moment that we saw her, and especially when we saw the intro for the first time, that she would be important to Ruby and for her silver eyes. But now that we're gonna hopefully get the chance to see that and to learn about that is exciting.
Yeah, I don't think there was a single person that didn't realize that she was going to be a silver-eyed thing. With the intro gave that away so hard. Mm-hmm. Let's zoom in on her eye and show Ruby's eye right after it. Like, no, we won't have any idea.
Yeah, I saw people on Twitter who were like, "Oh my God, Arnold called it," and all this stuff.
I saw that.
I'm like,
really?
Everybody called it.
Literally everybody who pays any attention called that. It's the same thing with, like, Cinder still being alive. And I'm like, did anybody actually think she was dead? And there were people that thought she was dead. I was like, do you pay any attention to the show? Like, seriously. Do you pay any attention to anything you watch ever? I don't understand,
even so,
like...
body was showing was technically not even dead. Vernal wasn't even dead until, she fired off that last shot. Even if you see a body, if they don't kill off people in RWBY very easily.
No, no, they don't. They don't kill people
Plus,
for
also,
no reason.
The thing that was the big about that for me was it was like they put so much emphasis on like maidens getting killed and their power passing to their killer and stuff, and it was like if Raven didn't get the power, then that should have at least in a way been enough to be like, he's probably alive.
Yeah. But Cinder's a cockroach. She's just gonna keep coming back. It's hard to kill those bastards. So yeah, but it just astounded me that like the amount of people that just weren't paying attention. I was like, why is anybody surprised by any of this? None of this is surprising. We all knew that this was coming. It was just a matter of when. So yeah, but I'm trying to run through the episode in my brain now.
The next thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm loving the focus on Ruby this volume, in this chapter and the last chapter especially. I love when Ruby gets angry, because she doesn't do it very often, but when she gets angry, she's pissed. So, like, her getting angry and, like, smashing the bottle against the wall and then immediately feeling really bad for her uncle and giving him a hug, I'm like, ugh, that's so Ruby.
I know.
She's a sweetheart.
She's so precious. But I was glad that she did get mad about it, because I'm like, yeah, Ruby, get mad. Let that bitch know that he's being a dick.
Wake up, bro!
Yeah. We overslept. I love the way she delivered that line, though. But yeah, and then she's like, you can talk to me about stuff, Yang too. And he just completely brushes it off. He's like, let's just leave.
I know, I was so upset with him in that moment. I was like, oh, Crow, please grow up.
He was being such an idiot this whole episode. I was getting so mad at him. I was like, can you stop being for 5 minutes?
I think a lot of that is probably a result of the apathy.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah. Could very well.
But it's like same thing with like everybody was getting annoyed with Yang because she seemed like she's been getting annoyed lately, especially at the house, and that's the kind of the reason why it happened.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to have a slightly different effect on everybody.
Right.
For Weiss, it was more she was starting to give up hope and being like, why are we even doing this? There's no point. Blake was kind of just being like, oh, I'm just going to, sit down and not do anything. Yang was like, whatever, I can't be bothered doing any of this. And Crow was getting drunk. So,
getting turned.
Maria and Ruby were interesting because it didn't seem to affect them anywhere near as much as it affected everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I bet that's got everything to do with their silver eyes.
Yeah. I was wondering if it was silver eyes or if it was just like the way they are as people almost. Or maybe it's the way they are as people because of their silver eyes.
I feel like because they've got this power that's massively effective against Grimm. I feel like any powers that Grimm have would be less effective on them. It did affect them, but nowhere near to the level that it was affecting everyone else. Everyone else was like zombies, and they were like, what's wrong with you people? Like, and it wasn't until the apathy actually were upon them that they started to really feel it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see early on.
Yeah, they do share a similar personality, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was kind of what I was saying, is like we now know that their powers work because of like hope in love and stuff, and so maybe just because they're silver-eyed warriors, they naturally are more hopeful and all this stuff. So it like takes more to make them apathetic. and so it kind of has to do with their silver eyes, but also kind of just has to do with them as people, maybe.
Oh yeah, and Oscar was there too. I keep forgetting.
And Oscar
they've completely forgotten about Oscar these last 2 chapters. And I'm like, shouldn't he be curled up in the corner, like crying his eyes out right now? Because I would be. And this kid's 14, and he's just had all of this shit laid on his shoulders, and he doesn't seem that bothered by it. But again, that could be an effect of the apathy. It could be about to all catch up with him horribly. So,
yeah.
Because he was definitely very bothered when they were walking through the forest towards Brunswick. But then once they got there, he was kind of like, everything's not so bad. And it could well have been an effect of the Grim.
Yeah.
So the scene where everybody was like hooking the trailer up to Bumblebee was really strange and creepy scene.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed immediately that something was wrong with everybody's pupils. I was like, why are their pupils so dilated?
Yeah. I, at the time, I was like, oh my god, they're all still asleep.
Yeah.
I was like, something's not right here. But I was just watching all of their eyes the whole time. They kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I was like, what is happening?
That's really creepy looking, yeah.
Super creepy. And like the entire scene of them being like, oh, why, like, we should just throw the relic down the well, and then Ruby eventually almost giving in and seeing the eyes down the well. Lindsay's performance in this scene was so good. This scene and the next scenes with all the Grim. Most noticeably on Oscar first. See, I noticed it on Yang more than anybody, because Yang's pupils are not black, they're actually purple. So I feel like it was more noticeable on her.
Yang has kind of felt like very out of it even the last couple episodes, even before we got here.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe she kind of let herself, be given up a lot easier, so that she just seemed way more out of it than everybody else.
Yeah, she did. Definitely.
Because she's just like, I'm already out of it. You do what you want with me, Apathy.
Yeah. It was a shorter jump to apathy for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. And then
that shot of all 3 of them looking at Ruby as she's holding the lantern.
That was creepy.
That was creepy.
In my reaction, I remember saying, "Oh my god, they look like Terminators. I don't like this. This is not good. I don't like it. Like, wake up! What are you doing?" Yeah, it was super creepy, and the not lack of score, but the very subtle score that was playing, that was like building the tension until we saw the eyes down the well, and Ruby dropped the freaking relic down there, of course. And then Ruby sort of like flipping out and being like, what is wrong with all of you? Like, we're not leaving without that lamp. And like, I love that she stood her ground, and she was really adamant, like, I am not leaving here without the lamp. Like, we're going down there to get it.
Yeah. It was nice to see Ruby, like, actually snap at people.
Yeah.
And, like, I know that we can probably explain that as, like, it was kind of the apathy, but I'm like, no, I hope that was 100% Ruby.
Yeah.
Like,
well, she, again,
Ruby was angry.
Didn't seem
and in a way
effective.
Acting more like a leader, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was going to say she was, once she was like, we're going down there to get it. The rest of Team Ruby was like, okay, we'll go down with you.
It's like, no, you listen to me. We're going.
Yeah. The shot of them all, like, dropping down the well into the sewers, I thought was a little weird. Like, it just looked a little strange, them just, like, falling from the sky. Like, it was just a bit of a weird shot. I don't know if it was the animation or what, but...
Well, the thing I thought with that is, I'm like, okay, when we saw the lamp fall, like... The lamp, like, hit the wall twice before it hit the bottom. Like, for them to fall into there, like, they'd break their ankles.
Yeah, that's where I was confused. Like, how in the world did Maria get down there?
I
exactly.
know. That's what I said in my reaction. I was like, as soon as Maria was down there, I was like, how did you get down there? I was like, what? How?
How did any of them get down there, actually? Because, like...
Well, the rest
do
of
we
Team
actually
Ruby
see
just
them
jump
down
down.
there?
Yeah, we see them jump down the well. We don't see it from the top, but we see it from inside the sewers that they actually jump down. I guess it can be explained away with aura, but, like, how far can they fall before they actually hurt themselves is the question.
Yeah.
Maybe they drank too much milk.
My theory, just with Maria at least, was like we've seen her little skull thing, and we see it's got little purple on it, and we know purple's the color associated with gravity dust. So I'm like, maybe she just like gravity dusted her way down.
Well, I mean, if it's an aura thing, she also has an aura, so that could be part of it as well. But yeah, it was just a strange shot in general. I felt like that. I don't know if it. Yeah, it was weird to me. I was like, okay, we're jumping down a well. Sure, this is happening. And
fine.
Maria,
it's like they didn't also know how far down it was too. It's like, just dive.
We'll just jump down.
Cannonball.
As well. It's fine. I love all of them using the lights on their scrolls too, as like.
Yeah, I was gonna point that out.
Because we've never seen that before this volume, and it's the second time we've seen it now. And I'm like, it's really cool, and like the actual like lighting effect is very, very realistic as well, which I really like about that. Like,
I'm sorry, but yeah, they're treating them just like saints.
My eyes, I'm blind. I didn't actually mean to sound like Maria just then. That was completely unintentional. My eyes. Oh my god, I made myself laugh now. What the fuck was I talking about? Maria, I love that she somehow managed to make it through 8 volumes of this dude's diary in like 6 hours, probably.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I noticed about it was when she read the part about the apathy, she was still in volume 6.
Yeah.
And then they get on, then everything happens, and they leave at the end, and she's reading the 8th one, and I'm like, when did you have time?
Do you mean chapter 6?
Well, no, because it's a book, so it's a volume.
The volumes of the books. I thought you were saying like volume 6 of Ruby. I was like, I mean, yeah, volume 6, yeah. Yeah, I'm like, god damn, she reads fast. Like, they are not small books. Where do they recharge their scrolls? That's a good question. Are they dust powered?
I was gonna say they're probably dust powered.
Everything is dust powered.
Everything's dust powered. Her sitting there like as all of this stuff is going on down at the bottom of the well, and like reading through, I was like, yeah, something's about to happen here. She's gonna read something about something, and then it popped up with like the apathy. I was like, the apathy? What the fuck does that mean? Obviously I had an idea that it was going to be like, kind of the Grimm that we got, the Grimm that was, God, what am I trying to say?
Responsible?
Responsible for all the weird shit that was going on. But, I did not expect them to be so goddamn creepy.
Yeah.
Holy crap, are they creepy. And I can see why that it's Miles's favorite Grimm, because it's like, it's not a ferocious beast, it's not fast, it doesn't use magic, it's slow and creepy, and like, its power comes from draining the power of others. And I'm like, it's like this slow lumbering thing. It's like a horde of zombies coming towards you.
Very skinny ones.
Yeah, very skinny zombies. And it's like, if you have a horde of hundreds of zombies coming at you, it doesn't matter what weapons you've got, you are screwed. And it's like, if it wasn't for Ruby, they would have all been screwed. But, seem more like lethargy than apathy. Well, I mean, it's...
Especially Blake.
It started with, like, messing with their emotions, and then actually gets to a point where it, just drains their will to go on, which is how Maria described it. And yeah, if you're super apathetic, you do tend to be lethargic, because you just go, I don't give a shit, whatever. But I love these Grimm. They might be my favorite Grimm as well, because they're just so creepy, and like they're so like, I don't know how to describe it, but like I just loved these Grimm. The fact that they weren't like a ferocious beast or anything like that. They were just like,
that there wasn't anything.
It's more like
like physically dangerous about them.
Yeah.
Right, it's like a passive Grimm almost. Like it just, there's some warriors with passive powers, kind of like Jean. Well, this is kind of like a passive Grimm where they don't necessarily have an aggressive power. They just do what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're not ferocious.
I liked that, like, we got to see a different kind of Grim like that. And it wasn't like anything that could literally rip you apart. It was just this just creeping force that's like, and they just kept coming and coming and coming. There were so many of them. Even when Ruby used the silver eyes for the first time, they still kept coming. There was still more of them. And it's like, around every corner they ran, there was more, and they were still coming. And it was like, God, how many of them are there? There must have been hundreds. But, it took Ruby's little scream once she saw the apathy to actually make everyone go, oh crap, something's going on here.
Yeah, that was the first moment when, like, up until that moment, all of their pupils had been, massive, and then she screamed and they all went back to normal.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I mean by like a passive ability. It's almost like they don't necessarily have to be doing anything. It's just that their apathy effect is kind of always just in the air.
Yeah, it's like a radius of effect. Yeah,
right.
An area of effect. So yeah, I don't know how Maria got down the well, but she got down the well somehow. And of course, here comes Grandma, who's figured it all out, and she's like, "Get away from the nasty Grim." And finally they book it out of there. Some of the running bits here were really good with the animation, and some were a bit awkward. I found that the shot that was tracking behind them as they were running was awkward because their bodies were moving a bit strangely. Like, it was just their arms and legs that were moving. Like, the rest of them wasn't moving. But the other shots were really good. It reminded me of the Volume 5 intro, actually, where the 4 girls are running towards Salem together. Which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, around every corner they turned, there was just more apathy, and they just kept coming in. Like, I was so tense the entire time during that scene. I was like, get out of there, please! Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them.
Did you see the body of that guy who I kept pointing out his picture? I kept being like, that guy.
What?
We saw his body in the sewer.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, there was a skeleton. Yeah, there was a skeleton.
I did not see this. I've only seen
his
the
body was
3
down
times,
there.
So.
Yeah.
It was when they were running through the. It was when they were running through the system, and they looked to the right, and there were 2 like apathy Grim coming down. There was a skeleton sitting down.
Oh yeah, there was a skeleton
to the left.
there. I didn't see that it was the huntsman though. But it was interesting when Maria was reading Bartleby's diary. It said the huntsman told me about them, and I was like, oh, that must be the guy from the photo that Cory was talking about. I figured that he was the huntsman. But yeah. I didn't see that.
I mean, I assumed he was too, but I also was like, I don't know, is he good or bad? Because he had, like, the thing that just threw me off about his pictures, like, he has more detail than all these other people do.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing is, because he's a skeleton, like, he had to have died earlier than the others, or did the Grim eat him?
They might have eaten him. That might be the case, because we know that they can scramble their insides, but, do they eat the people? Do Grim eat people? Is that a thing? Actually, the Griffin ate Torchwick, so they must eat people. I just thought about that then.
When talking about Grim, they say that they eat people, but they don't need nutrients, and they don't like actually need to eat people. Titans. It's just something they kind of do.
They're like Titans. They just eat people just because. But yeah, so they must have eaten him. They must have eaten the flesh off his bones. Because I'm like, if he went missing, surely people would have noticed. And also, it doesn't really make sense. Like, we don't know how long it takes for the apathy to take effect. But we know that when he brought 2 of the apathy back, Bartleby, the next day he then sealed off the water tunnel, but the rest had already got in. So I'm feeling like that day was the day that everybody went to sleep and didn't wake up, because there were then a lot of apathy that were having this effect on everybody and just making them tired. And so they probably didn't wake up after that. But the question is, why did I was going to say, that actually brings up a good point.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that my thought was based on the way that Maria told the story, was that it sounded like he put the 2 Grim he caught in the cellar, in the wine cellar. but then the others came in through the well, and they just like, I guess, eventually tore the wall down to be like, brother, we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
But then that even more raises the question of, okay, by the time they tore through that wall and everything, why was the huntsman down there?
Yeah, so I'm thinking he must have like noticed that something was up or noticed the signs, and went down there to investigate, or maybe he heard something from the cellar and then went down there to investigate and obviously got eaten by the apathy. Because he didn't have a silver-eyed warrior to save him, so... Yeah, I did see the skeleton, but I did not notice that it was him, so that's cool. We know what happened to him now. Yeah, so... I loved this whole scene of, like, when they get to the exit and they're all, like... The apathy's roar as well was terrifying.
Yeah.
Their screech. I loved the sound design in this episode of, like, the ringing in the ears every time it happened to, and, like, the muffled speech and the muffled sound, and the voice acting performance from all four of the girls and Maria as well. Just Ruby was really Ruby and Maria, but Ruby more so was the only one who was really trying to get up and be like, everybody move, like, we have to keep going. Again, it just could be a matter of it wasn't as affecting her as strongly as it was affecting them.
Well, plus the fact she's been acting more like a leader, like the longer she's been in the role.
Yes. Did the huntsman not have a bed? Cory said all the beds were full. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know.
Well, I think he just means like it was the same in every house. Like every house that he found, people just that
they were all dead in their beds, but not necessarily every bed had a dead body.
He did say every bed in every home.
Yeah, and that actually, that was another thing that I wanted to bring up. It's like, okay, so if they were all dead, you would think that they all went at kind of the same time, because if they had went like one after another, you'd think it would be like, okay, well, we just now one of our friends is dead, or one of our family members is dead.
Would have realized something.
Let's get out of here or whatever. But I think that probably just one of those things that they all went to sleep all at once.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking once the entire pack made their way under the estate, then that night when everybody went to sleep, nobody woke up. So they just went to sleep and died. Not the worst way to go, but
I mean, they starved to death, so...
Well, I mean, I don't know if they so much starved to death as they just didn't wake up and then just decayed. Because the bodies weren't that old. Like, they were still bodies. They weren't skeletons, so they could have only been there for a couple of weeks at the most. Like, it was a very recent thing that happened.
How old are the books that Maria was reading?
Well, that's the
because
question.
Obviously those are the diary. Did she say a date or anything in there?
No. But it takes a few weeks for a body to decay usually into a skeletal state, so they can't have been there that long. If they were in that stage of rotting.
I think we talked about this last week also, is that just like they are up in a freezing cold place, like that's would true. Preserve the bodies a bit.
It would preserve them a little bit longer, yeah. Also, how did they not notice the smell as soon as they went in the house? Like, have you ever smelled a rotting corpse? It stinks. Like, it's
preserved.
Pongy. Like, how did they not notice it as soon as they went in the house? That would have been the first thing they noticed would be the smell. Yeah, one of the tiny plot holes that are hard for writers to avoid, exactly, yeah. I'll have a look at the picture of the skeleton in a minute. But yeah, that was interesting that he was down there. I didn't actually notice that. But I loved this part of, like, finally getting to, like, learn about exactly how the Silver Eyes works, because we've only seen Ruby use it when she's had a surge of a very powerful emotion, and, like, also as a notion to try and protect the people that she loves. The first time she ever used it was when she saw Pyrrha die right in front of her, which of course is emotionally very distressing, and understandable why she lashed out the way she did. But then the second time she ever used it was trying to protect Jean from Cinder, because she got that flashback to Pyrrha, and she was like, I do not want this to happen to somebody else that I care about.
Yeah, they talked about on the rewind that they were under the impression that it was like a kind of a trauma-based thing, and not necessarily like, you know, you love somebody, so this happens. That it was like, oh my god, PTSD, my eyes glow.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like probably not every silver-eyed warrior unlocks their power through trauma, but I think that, yeah, for Ruby, it's definitely about protecting the people that she cares about, because here Blake was totally gonna die if she didn't do something, and she like screams her name and then her eyes activated, so it was like she was trying to protect Blake from the Grimm. I'm loving that Ruby and Blake are getting more interaction as well, because they've barely said 2 words to each other before Volume 6, so it's been nice to see them actually interact, and see Ruby actually like protecting her from the Grimm. Have you ever smelled a rotting corpse? And I'm the only one here to say no, I haven't. No. I live on a farm. Things die all the time, so. But yeah, decaying corpses smell bad. Yeah, and it was like Maria's reaction to it was interesting, because she was like, "What just happened? Like, what was that?" But in my reaction when she asked Ruby what color her eyes are, and we sort of saw the world through Maria's eyes, and it has that kind of blue tint to everything.
Yeah.
I was like, how have you not noticed her eye color until this point? But I didn't really think about the fact that she can't really see too well, so...
Yeah, because if you look at, like, all the other colors, like, Ruby has a bright red cape, and it was just kind of, like, gray for her.
Yeah, a little bit
Everything's,
gray.
like, more gray.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like she's colorblind, kind of.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Everything's desaturated, so it's kind of... I get why it's a bit difficult for her to distinguish. But yeah, as soon as Ruby said that her eyes were silver, she knew exactly what to do. And I really liked this bit where she like covered Ruby's ears, and all the sound design reflected that, and how it was like showing the girls in slow motion, and all of the echoing sound that was going on. It was really like well designed sound in this scene. And the shot of Ruby opening her eyes with that silver glint gave me chills. I was like, oh, yes, Ruby. And then her expression as she sat up to like stare the Grimm down. Because we've heard Crow originally describe the Silver Eyes power as being like they could kill Grimm with a single look. And it's essentially what she's doing here, is she's evaporating Grimm by looking at them. Like,
it's the first time we've actually seen her kill Grimm with it.
Yeah, like actually intentionally kill Grimm with it.
Well, no, I don't think she's ever killed a Grimm with it before, because like the dragon froze,
she didn't
and
kill
all she
it.
did
Yeah,
was kind of, and then all she did was kind of wound Cinder.
Well, I mean, I was surprised Cinder survived that actually, but after that, I'm not surprised anymore. Ruby, it's time to snap. Yeah, exactly. But she's gotten progressively, like, more in control of it, because the very first time she used it knocked her out cold, and she didn't even kill the dragon or Cinder. She just sort of froze them, I guess. I don't know what she did to Cinder, but I think it's safe to assume that by the time Crow got up there to rescue Ruby, Cinder was gone.
And the first time she used it also was, like, it seemed more intense than all the other times that she's used it. Like, It was just very... Because I think it was the very first time she used it. It was almost like the power releasing for the first time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she probably got knocked out because it was just like... It was too overwhelming for her at first.
Yeah. And then when we saw her use it again in Volume 5, she was still standing, but Emerald knocked her out. And then ever since then... Well, now this is the next time we've seen her use it, and she was... fine, basically. So she seems to be getting more in control of it, and now she's actually used it kind of deliberately here, which is the first time we've seen her do that. And Cory, you said this when we talked about the episode, but the shot of like the light coming through the tunnel and just seeing the Grimm evaporate in the shadows was a really cool shot. Like we didn't see them actually evaporate, we just saw the shadow of them just kind of disappearing, and then the next shot of like all the Grimm bits, dust floating up in the air. That was a really, really cool shot. I like the way that they did that. Because it would have been a nightmare to animate that many evaporating Grimm. So it's a good way of getting around that. To be like, we don't want to have to animate evaporating 200 Grimm. Let's just do this instead. It's a clever way.
Show like 3 of them.
Yeah, it's very, very effective. And yeah, once the Grimm are gone, then it's like back into action. Cory, you said as well that you loved Weiss here, that she just like when
it was before. It was when she did the first one.
When Ruby did the
everyone's
first
like,
one,
"What's happened?" And
Weiss just gets up. She's like, "We're getting the fuck out of here! Like, open these doors!" And then here, Yang gets up and she's like, just Falcon punches the fucking cellar doors open. She's like, "We are leaving right now."
Well, she doesn't punch them open. She punches them off.
Yeah, I mean, she
like,
knocks them clean off the hinges. I'm not surprised. There's a lot of power behind that arm of hers. And then they like emerge back in the house, which I was expecting because they didn't show us the cellar doors for nothing. But yeah, Weiss the alcohol on the fire. Yeah, Cory called that as well. But they set the place on fire.
And that was too like easy of like foreshadowing, where it was like, we could keep a fire going forever.
And
I'm like, oh, I bet you could.
Fire, like. Okay, well, they're going to burn this place down at some stage. It's the easiest way to get rid of the Grimm, I guess. Crow was annoying the shit out of me in this scene, because he was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" I'm like, Crow literally almost got eaten by Grimm just now.
Well, he had been getting more and more depressed the entire episode, and he's just like, when he discovered that room, he's like, "Oh, alcohol, I'll just drown my sorrows." So he literally just got plastered. And that's one of the reasons why he was the way he was.
I'm only saying that since most of the directors I've noted have never commented on Ruby's comment. What? Ruby's comment about what?
Last episode about the,
Oh, yeah.
The alcohol and...
Yeah. Once they come up and Crow's like, "What are you doing?" Maria goes, "We're leaving, you idiot!" I'm like, "Yes, Maria, tell him. Tell him."
The wise one in the group.
Yeah. Okay, I need to talk about this thing here, because Yang grabbed Blake's hand and Tumblr is losing their minds.
I think I was going to say they're going to go nuts.
Tumblr is losing their fucking minds. Of course. I feel like at this point they're either doing all of these things because they're going to make Bumblebee canon, or because they're trying to start shit. And it could be either one, to be honest.
It could be both.
It could be both, yeah. I feel like they're just trying to start riots in the Ruby Tumblr community, because every time there's there was
no reason really there for Yang to grab Blake's hand, other than just like going, "Here, let me do this."
And it was so obvious. It was center shot, and everybody saw it. And like in my reaction, I was like, "And there goes Tumblr." Like, oh my gosh!
I was literally like, "Oh my god, they held hands."
At this point, I'm like, Rooster Teeth, can you either make this ship canon or stop doing this, because you're destroying the internet every time you do. But I think they revel in that.
They enjoy it.
They enjoy it. And I feel like it's the same reason why Jeff Williams wrote the song Bumblebee, because those fuckers love stirring shit. And, like, they love keeping the suspense and the hype going. I don't know if they're actually going to make it canon at this point, but it's like, it's just, they're just sort of like, they keep putting these little things in that they know are going to make the fandom go crazy.
I go back and forth whether or not they are or not.
I don't know.
I mean, I was going back and forth, but like at the start of this volume, when they shipped Sun off, I was like, oh. And it's looking like we're probably going to get like 2 volumes of no Sun, but I'm like, maybe they might.
Yeah.
You're a filthy Bumblebee shipper, though, so...
He is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Tumblr banning NSFW. Well, that's a whole other can of worms entirely. Goodbye, Tumblr. It was nice knowing you. There goes glorious. 80% of your content. So that was the thing. And Weiss being like, we're not leaving yet. First, let me burn the shit down. I love the shot of her chucking the bottles. Like, she looks so angry. She's like, I'm gonna burn this place down. I loved that.
I just wish we could have heard her internal monologue of like, this is for that bottle Mom drank, and this is for the one Dad drank.
Wow.
And I absolutely love the shot of her like activating her glyph to set fire to the Grim. I was like, yes, Queen. Yes, Queen.
I literally said that in my reaction because I was just like, oh my god, you're a goddess.
She's been getting more and more control of her, like especially her fire. Dust seems like she's like really got control over like with the candles and everything, and just
like every time Weiss does something like that with her glyphs, she just looks so graceful and so elegant, and I'm like, yes, Queen, you fucking slay. It's just a gorgeous shot with like the effects of the fire dust off of Mert Nostra, and then the glyph appearing, and the fire effects themselves were really, really pretty. I was like, oh my god, that is a gorgeous shot. Like, oh, kill me. She looks so beautiful.
The animation is just is just incredible. This volume is just getting better.
Yeah.
Then I love the next shot of her just standing there, and she just
now we can
both feet down. Now we can go.
Like she put her foot down. Like now we can go.
Yeah, and she just grabs Crow and they drag him out. And he's still crapping on. I'm like, Crow, open your eyes, look, and then.
What are you guys doing? Stop it.
And then when he finally sees the Grim on fire coming towards them, he's like, oh shit.
Oh, okay.
And Cory, you brought up an interesting point before, whether Crow has seen the apathy before. I don't know if he's seen them before. He looked pretty startled. I feel like this is probably not a common kind of Grim, and also they're not in Vale. So I don't know if the apathy exists in Vale, if it's like, I don't want to say native, but native to Mistral, or if like Grim are sort of like a globally, there's all kinds of Grim everywhere. But there have definitely been different areas we've gone to where we've seen different kinds of Grim. So I feel like it might be like a regional kind of thing. Like every region has its own kind of Grim. And then there's just the general ones like the Beowulfs and the Nevermores and whatnot.
Well, that is one thing I want to bring up is, I talk about this so much, in the world of Remnant for the Great War, they talk about the event that's really started the Great War was that Mantle, in an attempt to control people's emotions, or in an attempt to, like, stop attracting the Grim, they wanted to control people's emotions, so they outlawed like art and stuff, and basically outlawed emotion.
Yeah.
And then Mistral followed suit, and they talk about how Mistral, it was only really in the like surrounding territories of Mistral that they like enforced that ban, which would include the area they are now in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I wonder how the apathy fit into people doing that. Like, did Bartleby get this idea because people used to do this prior to the Great War?
Sorry, I think I just heard thunder. So if the stream cuts out, it's because my power's off. Lost my train of thought completely. Yeah, he has to have been to Mistral before. Not necessarily.
Well, no, I think he has, because he talked about like how he had contacts in Mistral.
Yeah, he could have been there before, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's seen the apathy before.
Yeah. I don't know. I think either his look was like, oh my god, it's the apathy, or oh my god, there's Grim chasing my girls.
Yeah. Sorry.
Is Nora visiting you?
I was kind of thinking of this because I look at that episode, and then I look at the opening where Crow's like, drinking his flask, then he got grabbed by this Grim. Maybe it's like they're like, building like a weight of it, like, how do I say this? So it's pretty much they're putting a lot of weight on him, like all that grief and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a little analyzation there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was
that's
interesting.
a good point.
That is also one thing I did notice, is that the arms that we see in the intro are not the arms of the apathy. It is the arms of...
They are like...
Salem's Grim Magic.
Yeah. But the eyes are definitely the eyes of the apathy, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, I guess, cross-correlation between the two things. Yeah, it's interesting, because that was definitely the apathy eyes in the intro, but yeah, the hands are not the same hands, so whether that means something or not remains to be seen.
That's probably just misdirection.
Or they just didn't have the model yet.
Yeah, they just reused the same model because they already had it. Yeah, it's very possible.
But I don't know. Either way, I think that like Crow in that moment realized he was like, shit, I messed up.
Yeah, I fucked up.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm supposed to be protecting these girls, and it's just like, I'm letting them down.
They could have died 6 feet from me, and I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. So, I think Crow's part of the intro makes a lot more sense now that we've seen this episode as well. I feel like it was referencing this episode more or less as like the Grim like dragging him down further into drunken stupor. But now hopefully he'll snap out of it or like I kind of want Ruby to like be like, stop being a dickhead, like pull your head in.
Yeah. Have that talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I honestly, I just want like Crow to say, because we all know that like Crow is the thing that Crow feels is he's like, I'm a burden to everybody. I'm bring bad luck. People shouldn't be around me. I'm cursed. You know, that kind of stuff. And I want to hear him actually say it, like, because we know that's how he feels, but I want to hear him say it.
I mean, he kind of did to Oz in chapter 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of was like, no one wanted me. I was cursed, like, and like we know that that's how he feels. Like, it must be a very, very difficult thing to live with. And I do feel bad for the guy, but it gets to a point where it's like, okay, Crow, pull your fucking head in. Especially when like it's not just his life that's in jeopardy; it's the lives of the girls that are in jeopardy. I'm like, Crow, I love you, but if you put those fucking girls in danger, I will end you. Like, I totally skipped over too. I just realized him flattening the tire on the trailer. I was like, Crow, why are you touching things? Don't touch things. You should know this. Stop touching things. And then Maria being like, you guys are beacons for bad luck. And I'm like, oh, don't flame the fire. Don't fan
I was
the fire.
like, word choice, Maria.
Don't fan the fire.
It's like it was like Nora saying in Volume 5, good luck with that.
Good luck with that. Yeah. But of course Nora knew about it and she was just teasing him.
Right, yeah.
Maria's just totally oblivious and he's like, I'm gonna cut a bitch.
Like, how dare you.
But I was like, stop touching things, Crow. Goodness, you should know better than that. Don't just go sit in the corner. But which is what he did. But
I thought the rewind... I didn't actually watch the rewind clip for last week, but I thought it was them running in the sewer, because I definitely, like... I know that after I'd seen the episode, I went and I had seen that people had, like, posted screenshots of them in the sewer before.
I think, yeah, that was a
that was the clip that... You're right, that was the one that Rooster Teeth posted the day before that you warned us about.
On Twitter.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know why they would post that on Twitter, but, you know, whatever.
I know.
So where are we up to? Leaving the house, yeah. I like, again, with the sound design, Oscar's sitting there, like, pumping up the tire, and it's like, Oscar! For fuck's sake! Like, and Yang running up, and the expression on her face is she's like, we need to go now! Like, the thing they did really well this episode was, like, the expression of fear on people's faces, which is something we haven't really seen a lot, not since Volume 3, really. But, like, just the pure fear on the girls' faces and, like, the wide-eyed sort of, I don't want to say anime depiction of, like, scared, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. And once they were all in the trailer and Yang like starts up Bumblebee and goes, like the look on her face, she's like, like let's get out of here. And I'm like,
they've been getting really good with the emotion
lately.
The facial expression, really, especially since like obviously they switched to the Maya. I mean, especially like with Blake and her ears and everything, and just everyone's emotions have been really well like put on the table. You can tell how everybody's feeling pretty much.
Yeah, they're getting better and better at it all the time.
Like even one of the first shots of the episode is Ruby or Weiss, Blake, and Yang sitting in front of the fire, and like Blake looks over at Yang, and then she kind of looks like, and she kind of like gets a little defeated, and like her ears go down a little bit, and like that was one thing where she didn't say a word, but you knew
it's exactly so subtle, how she was feeling. Right?
Blake,
it's subtle.
Blake is interesting to me because she is like an emotional wall a lot of the time. But because of her cat ears, I feel like we have a better idea of how she's feeling at any one time than anybody else, because her ears are so expressive. And like in the shot that I've used as the thumbnail for this Boopcast, where she's like looking at Yang and Yang's looking at her, and Blake's ears are like half down because she's just like, whatever. Like we can always gauge how she's feeling because she has that animal trait and that she has no control over it. It just reflects how she's feeling. But it's interesting to me that she's not the most emotionally closed off, but she's the one who tries to hide her emotion a lot of the time. And but it's like she wears it on her sleeve or wears it on her ears without even meaning to. So it's interesting that we can always kind of gauge how Blake's feeling. We definitely know when she's scared, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Ears back. Half expect her to start hissing half the time. Bumblebee looks super...
I'm waiting for them to put that in. Or some kind of, like, just extreme cat reference. You know, like, they've had it in Chibi before, but, like...
Well, I mean, she was following the laser pointer in Volume 2. That was pretty in your face.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's been in Chibi a lot more, but yeah, the laser pointer in Volume 2, I'm like, it's one of my favourite scenes. It's so cute. It would piss me off, too, to be fair. But I wouldn't start chasing after it heel to toe like she did. Blake's ears are better animated in this volume. Yeah, in Volume 4, I don't think in Volume 4 they were too exaggerated. I felt, if anything, they were too understated in Volumes 4 and 5. I felt like they were underused, but now they're definitely, like, every shot we see of Blake, her ears are doing something, which is how it should be. Whereas there are a lot of shots in Volume 4 and 5 where they were just kind of not doing anything at all. And, like, almost like they'd forgotten about them, but just that they didn't
in the scenes where they remembered to do stuff with the ears, they were always like big emotional like moments, so that's maybe why they seemed exaggerated, because you know she was having a big reaction.
Yeah. And we do know that there is one animator on Kruby who is responsible for animating Blake's ears across episodes. So there's, well, I forget her name now, but I think that Melanie mentioned her. Erin, is it Erin?
Erin Wynn, I think it's Erin Wynn.
I think it's Erin. And she is responsible for animating Blake's ears, so she just consistently does that as well. Like, that's not the only thing she does, but she's the one who animates Blake's ears, and she seems to have a really good grasp of that kind of animation. So it's really nice to see more attention to detail in that. They've given this job to one person and been like, hey, your job is to animate Blake's ears in every single shot. And it's really playing off very well. It's feels a lot more less like a headband on her head and more like it's actually like a physical part of her. Yeah. Bumblebee looks super dumb carrying that trailer, exactly like I thought it would. I was wondering how they were going to hook it up, but they like welded like some kind of contraption on to like hook the trailer onto. So I was like, okay.
Weiss welded. Weiss
welded it. Yeah.
Weiss.
But
Eris and blacksmith.
It still looks ridiculous. I was like, the trailer is enormous, and there's like 8 people in it. All right, how many?
Yeah.
3, 6,
It's also
7
like
people.
it was also like really convenient.
It was a bit convenient.
Yeah, it's like going. Oh, they they suddenly just have access to this trailer that can fit just the right amount of people on it.
And obviously motorcycles are not designed to trail things.
Carry something, yeah.
So I'm surprised that they didn't tip over at any one stage, but
I know. Also, when she at the end of the episode, when she stops the bike, I'm like, "Bitch, don't stop! These people are gonna come flying over."
I know. She stopped really quickly too. I was like, "Yay! They're gonna like smack their heads on the fucking guardrail. Careful!" But yeah, I guess they were all sitting down. So, but yeah, the scene of them driving away in the trailer was interesting. Of Maria explaining like what happened to the estate and how the apathy had affected everything. And obviously Maria has had experience with the apathy before, because she talked about how like I should have known all of the signs were there. So she's experienced this before, obviously.
Right, and when she opened the page that said apathy in the journal, or in the she immediately it seemed like she recognized it right away. It's like going, oh, that's what this is.
Oh crap, yeah.
That was another thing that I found interesting about, because now that we have a second Silver-Eyed Warrior in the show, and like Ruby's always been like knowledgeable about Grimm and stuff, like back to Volume 1, you know, with the Borbatusk and it not having armor underneath and stuff. Like, she's always known about Grimm, and now we're meeting another Silver-Eyed Warrior who has a lot of knowledge about Grimm. And so I'm like, again, is this just like, do the Silver-Eyed Warriors naturally have like an interest in the Grimm? Do they just learn it easier? Like, I know it's interesting that we're seeing so many parallels with Ruby and Maria.
Yeah, I feel like in the case of the Borbatusk, it could have been the fact that Ruby was like sitting and observing. She could have noticed that there was no armor underneath it, but yeah, I feel like that's a thing they should have learned in combat school, though, and Weiss didn't seem to be aware of it, so it's interesting.
Well, I mean, I think that the difference is like combat school is just like learning to like, you know, wield a gun, wield a weapon, and you know, stuff like that, whereas like a Huntsman Academy is like you're training to kill Grimm, whereas other people could just be like training to like be a bodyguard or something.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, I want to point out that we have had 3 Silver-Eyed Warriors. We just haven't seen one of them.
Yeah,
true.
Which I am still somewhat, well, not mad, but like I really, ever since like Volume 1, Volume 2, I have wanted them to show something of Summer, and I'm hoping with now they're exploring the Silver Eye thing, maybe they'll do something with her, some kind of flashback, something. I want to see something with Summer, because we've got nothing but a picture. That is literally it. Or a ghostly figure in an intro, but that's literally it.
Yeah. We need
I will be annoyed if we finish Volume 6 without there being us learning something about Summer. Because we need to learn something. Like, they can't just keep looming her over like, ooh, Summer Rose.
Yeah, I feel like they're avoiding the subject with her for some reason, but I don't know what it is yet. Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like probably once we learn what it is, it will make more sense. But in the meantime, we're just like, for fuck's sake, we need to know more about Summer. It's driving me mad. I want that dramatic name drop this volume. I need it. What name drop?
Summer Rose.
Yeah, just...
I mean...
I know. I just think
heard Yang talk about her. We haven't even heard Ruby talk about her ever. So,
right. I mean, well, and Crow also, because she, you know, in Volume 3 when he was telling her about her eyes.
Maria definitely didn't know Summer Rose. That's not... Just wipe that off the table immediately.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I feel like, especially just with everything we know about Summer, like, I feel like she would have seen Ruby and been like, oh my god, Summer Rose's daughter.
Yeah, I mean, she looks exactly like her, so I don't think that would have escaped her notice. Yeah, no, I feel like, how would Maria and Summer have ever crossed paths? Because they don't even, like, Summer was from Vale, Maria's from Mistral, so, well, as far as we know.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, Ruby looks exactly like her mother. That's the thing. We've seen a photo of Summer Rose, and she looks like Ruby. she's blind-ish. Well, I mean, is she that blind? No, I don't think the two have any correlation with each other.
Yeah.
She was
Not all
blind, she wouldn't
silver-eyed
have read the
warriors
book.
know each other.
Yes. Gosh, that's racist.
Although we only know of 3, so who
I
knows?
would be very interested to see.
Maybe they have a group chat.
I would be very interested to see a male silver-eyed warrior, because when Crow talked about them, he talked about them as them, like the silver-eyed warriors. He never once mentioned that it was just women. He just said it was a rare trait. So it would be interesting to meet a male silver-eyed warrior in the future, hopefully. Maybe we'll get to find, like, a community of silver-eyed warriors or something.
Yeah.
Like the last few that are left. This community of huntsmen.
It's a camp.
The camp, yeah, well.
Camp Silver Eye.
Camp Silver Eye! That's good.
It definitely sounds like a place Jason would show up.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And then everybody's like, "Oh, I'm sorry for what I said," and like, we can't give up. And then they're all kind of in agreement that, like, yes, we can't give up until the lamp is safe. So we're all back on the same page. Yay.
Pishin, I am convinced that Shade Academy has a headmistress.
Yeah, it's got to be a headmistress.
Well, I mean, not just for, like, also with, all the Wizard of Oz references, but also in the world of Remnant about the Great War.
Oh my god!
Vacuo was led by a lady.
Yeah. It would make sense, yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake. That fucking world of Remnant.
Push it home, Cory. Push it home.
A fondest lady at that, true, Pishin.
I love Maria's reaction when Ruby's like, "How do you know all of this stuff, Miss Calavera?" And she totally sounds like a school kid when she says that. Maria's like, "Well, isn't it obvious, girl? Duh! Like, use your brain!" I freaking love Maria. She's so sassy.
Go to bed.
Go to bed. But the fact that she says, "I had silver eyes," yeah, it's very, very interesting. So we know that she does not have them anymore, and the like mechanical eyes that she has are just like inserted into the holes in her skull. That's really creepy. They're like bionic eyes, I guess. She's like a what do you call it? A cyborg, but instead of the arm and leg, she's got another eye.
I mean, she's still cybernetic.
Hi, AC. We dealt with them before, yeah. Well, it could. I don't know that she has any relation to Salem, though. That's the thing. She seems to have a very lacking knowledge about Salem and all of that. Like, she seemed very surprised by all the information that was dropped on them. But again,
that's why I
want to
learn more about her. Yeah, that's why I want to learn more about Maria's, because I'm like, okay, you just witnessed this massive this was how the world was created basically thing.
Yeah. And
you're taking it so gracefully,
Yeah. She hasn't even.
I need to learn about you.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like she's probably the kind of person that she's lived so long and seen so much, nothing really surprises her anymore. Do her eyes have a zoom function? Probably. Snapchat filters. I feel like she mentions that her eyes are in desperate need of repair, and it looks somewhat primitive technology compared to the kind of technology that they have in the world of Remnant at the moment. So they could be somewhat old.
Right.
Yeah.
To
I have a feeling she's probably had these eyes a while.
Yeah,
she does refer to them. She does refer to them as her eyes. Like, she doesn't say my goggles covering my eyes. It's just like, these are my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing that first tipped me off. That I was like, if she's a silver-eyed warrior, she definitely they're gone. Yeah. She called them her eyes.
Yeah, Pishin, I know it's live. It's a rerun though, so and we did start 45 minutes late, so
no thanks to Skype.
Yeah. She needs to repair them when they get to Atlas. Yeah, well, Do her cybernetic eyes work like... if you guys want to ask questions, by the way, there is a way to redeem questions through the Streamlabs menu as well. And they'll pop up on the stream so we can read them. Yeah, so... that's pretty much the whole episode now, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going back through my notes, see if there's anything else.
I do want to talk about the shot, actually, after Maria says, I had silver eyes. There's a wide shot where you can see the bike in the trailer, and you see everyone look at Maria, and Yang turns around on the bike to look at her. I thought that was an interesting shot of, like, okay, next episode, story time! Like, more story time,
Pretty
yay!
much.
Well, that's what I thought this episode was going to start off with, you know,
Story
with
time.
Maria being like, the silver-eyed warriors were, you know?
Yeah.
But it seems like maybe we'll get that next episode, hopefully.
Hopefully. I just really need to know more about Maria. I just need to know where she came from and why she's here. And what happened to her eyes. I'm sure we'll probably find that out pretty quickly, I would say.
Yeah, like we got the screenshot of like young Maria, so
yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there is a spoiler that has been circulating Twitter this week.
That was completely unavoidable, unfortunately.
It was
pretty unavoidable.
Literally everybody shared it. So, if you want to ask a question,
when I saw them,
use the Streamlabs menu.
When I saw the picture on my Twitter timeline, I was like, whoa, this is really good fan art. And then I looked at it and I was like, not fan art.
Not fan art, not fan art, abort! Yeah. And then Mojojo, which is a Twitter account I follow, who has amazing RWBY fan art,
and
made a fan art of that spoiler, and I was like, well, I gotta mute your account now, bye! Like,
yeah, I saw you.
I remember seeing fan art first.
Because they keep posting spoilers. So annoying. Ugh. But yeah, I mean, it's been a problem this volume of like not just Rooster Teeth posting spoilers, but other people retweeting spoilers and like external sites getting exclusive shit and that being retweeted around everywhere. It's like Rooster Teeth forgets that they have people that react to their fucking content and don't want to see any goddamn spoilers. They're just throwing the clips in our faces, and I'm like, stop! I don't want to see any of this. Because it's
I also hate like YouTube, because like you watch RWBY content. Here, this person posted the RWBY Rewind thing. Here's the thumbnail of that. So like I truly feel like I know exactly what this next episode is going to be between the two spoilers I've seen.
Yeah, I feel like it was a massive massive spoiler. We do have a question here. Yay, let me load it up. I can mute Mojojo if he's going to post spoilers.
Yeah, I'll mute anybody that posts spoilers.
Pishin says, a lot of focus on the Bartleby Book 8 being tossed in the snow. Do we think Cinder and Co. or someone else will track them with it? No, I just think it was just an arbitrary shot.
Because
just them showing that, like, hey, we're done with this.
Yeah, and also, like, Cinder and Co. are just going to go straight to Argus.
Yeah.
Like, there wouldn't be any real reason for them to, like, investigate the crash.
No, not at all. They're probably not even aware of it. How old do we think Maria is now? Oof.
I would say she's probably less than 80.
I'd say she's in her 70s, yeah.
Because the Great War was 80 years ago, and she doesn't really give me, like...
Oh my god.
It's been 84 years!
Yeah.
Was she on the Titanic?
I hope so. I was about to make another
that
joke,
mean?
but I realized that.
You hope so. Gosh, now I just have a mental image of Maria singing "My Heart Will Go On." I totally forgot what I was gonna talk about as well. I don't know. I've lost my train of thought completely. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's way too hard for me to theorize when I see spoilers like that, because I'm like, well, now I have a very clear picture of what the next episode is going to be, because I've seen too much. I can't, like, give an unadulterated prediction, so I'm not going to make a prediction this week, because I feel like I know what's going to happen next chapter now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've only seen the screenshot. I didn't see the video. Obviously, I'm avoiding it, but just Even a screenshot.
I only saw the screenshot and it told me way too much. I was
Right.
like, this one screenshot has told me the contents of the entire chapter. Because I'm paying attention to what's going on. I get so mad at people that passively watch things, and at the same time I envy them because they're not paying attention. So spoilers don't really matter to them because they don't think about it all the time, and their life doesn't revolve around it like it does for us. So, like, if I see a spoiler, I'm like, well, there goes my predictions for the entire chapter now. I know exactly what's going to happen. Not exactly what's going to happen, but I have a much better, clearer picture. We have another question. You have to watch the stuff because you moderate the Ruby Wiki Discord, yeah. AC asks, going for a cultural question of the Silver Eyes, do you guys think their culture revolves entirely on battle, or if Ruby and Maria share some personality quirks? I don't know the Silver-Eyed Warriors really have a culture as such.
Yeah, because they're I mean, like, Silver-Eyed Warriors, it seems, is at least somewhat familial.
Yeah.
So, because, you know, also Summer had silver eyes.
Yeah, it's definitely a hereditary thing.
But yeah, and I did mention earlier that I did, you know, thought that maybe their silver eyes did kind of lead to similar personalities and stuff, but I don't know if they necessarily have a culture. People predicted that they might be, you know, Ozpin's kids because of the one shot in episode 3 of the, like, 2 seemingly silver-eyed children.
That's a gross thought. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about
or at least
Ozpin's
descendants of,
offspring.
because it's
Thank
familial.
you very much. Whoa. Ozpin and Salem's offspring. It's just... It makes
that would be so funny, though, because that means that, like, Maria's great-great-great-granddad is in the body of this 14-year-old boy with her.
Jesus!
Oh, phrasing.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Cory,
we need to stop.
I'm sorry.
We need to stop.
No, you're not.
Jesus. No. Just no. Yeah, we need to stop. Oh my god, we need to stop talking right now. Yeah, so... I'm not going to make a prediction about next week, but Wade, Jess, what are your thoughts about the next chapter?
I mean... I can't really make a prediction because, again, I've only seen a picture, but it was enough to just know exactly.
Yeah, pictures. Yeah.
Yes, that's the problem.
They could have had the video or screenshot of the video be anything. Like, it could have been something that was non-spoilerish of just the picture, but they chose that, and it was just
It's really annoying the crap out of me how much they are trying to spoil the chapters this volume. Like, it's really, really annoying me. I'm so annoyed. I'm like, has Rooster Teeth forgotten about the reactor community and, like, because we're still making reactions, so it's not like they just have forgotten about us because they have to approve them every fucking week. But
well, I think this one is more on Entertainment Weekly because they picked the shot that was the most, you know, like, eye-catching.
Yeah, but I'm like, at the same time, it's the most
too eye-catching.
So yeah,
too eye-catching.
It told us way too much. I do have a bone to pick with the spoiler. Yes, I have a bone to pick with Rooster Teeth posting any kind of spoilers. Especially because they start posting them on Wednesday and the chapter comes out on fucking Saturday. I'm like, you're posting spoilers 4 days in advance. Can you stop?
I mean, it started getting bad when, like, I mean, they have a direct spoiler. Like, if you're watching Ruby for the first time and you, like, say it's, you know, volume 6 now, and you're watching it through for the very first time, volume 5, chapter 13 thumbnail is a direct spoiler for basically the entire volume.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they went with that thumbnail. It's just stuff like that. It's just it seems completely out of character for them. They just seem to be getting more and more into that, and it's very confusing.
The thumbnails this volume actually haven't been too bad. They've been very spoiler free. But yeah, volume 5 chapter 13 was Raven with her glowing eyes, wasn't it? That was the thumbnail
Right, yeah.
of the chapter. Yeah, that's a massive spoiler. I was really surprised when they did that thumbnail. I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I get so surprised with the spoilers they post, because it's like people who aren't first members haven't even seen the previous episode yet. So why are you spoiling the episode after that?
And it was surprising as well, because one of the crewbies for last volume, they actually changed the thumbnail because it contained a spoilery image, and they changed
I remember that,
and got rid of it. But then chapter 13 rolls around, they just spoil the fucking Spring Maiden right in the thumbnail. I'm like, really?
Why not? Everyone's seen it.
Really? Okay. Yeah, this just doesn't make any sense to me. It's pissing me off, and I'm having to constantly mute accounts because they keep retweeting fucking spoilers all the time. I have like a dozen accounts muted because they keep retweeting shit.
Yep.
I'm like, I've had to mute people that are my friends, and I've told them, I'm like, I'm muting you because if you're gonna retweet this shit, I don't want to see it. It's annoying the crap out of me. I would like just 1 week to go without seeing something unintentionally. It hasn't happened yet. So, I've been spoiled.
It's been getting
every
harder and
chapter.
harder.
So, yeah, it has been getting harder and harder. Like, I'm at the point where I don't even actively look up the thumbnail and title for every chapter until I sit down to do my reaction and see it for the first time. Because I'm like, I don't want to see anything. And it's like jumping down a rabbit hole. I'm like, if I see this, then it's going to lead me to seeing something else that I don't want to see. Yeah, it's just a pain. But I was fine with the 3
one thing.
Week base. Everyone angry about spoilers? Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm the first member. I see it when it comes out. I'm still getting spoiled 3 days in advance. It's pissing me off. It needs to stop.
They're spoiling it before it's even available for first members. That's, I mean, like, it's like I somewhat understand if you want to put out these spoilers for the previous week. It's like, okay, sure, that I kind of understand. You're trying to convince the people that aren't first members to kind of be first members. You know, obviously, if people aren't first members, there's probably a reason. But to spoil things that are on episodes that haven't even come up yet for anybody, that just is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know it's their way of like trying to build hype, but the thing I think is most annoying is like that's why the Ruby Rewind clip exists. So take things from that. Like don't take things from 2 different locations or 3 different locations and be sharing all these different things around, because then it's like you just show too much of the episode.
They have the Ruby Rewind clip, and then they post a different GIF on their Twitter like the day before, and then they post a different clip the day of, and I'm like, you're spoiling half the episode at this point. Can you not? Like, the episodes are like 14 minutes long, and you've got 3 minutes worth of clips sitting here. Can you stop? Like, it's so annoying. Yeah, like, pick one of the clips and keep showing that. Exactly. Ugh, it's so annoying. So today we've learned that Becca smelled a corpse and jumped down a rabbit hole. Farm life, huh? I haven't jumped down a rabbit hole, but I have encountered a snake in a rabbit hole before. That's not fun. Don't say the word snake. One's gonna slither under my door. Blah.
I feel weird now. No.
There were like 17 spiders in here last night too. I was like, get me out of here.
You counted them?
No, but I'm exaggerating. There was like 4, but 4 is still too many. I'm secretly Maria Calavera's backup VA. I'm her understudy. Anyway, we better wrap this shit up.
We'll wrap it up.
Well, one thing I did want to say before that we stop is that somebody pointed out that this is actually one of the few episodes of Ruby that you can actually like watch and show people that don't have that like know nothing about Ruby, but like I don't know, it's just so universal that everybody could probably appreciate it. Maybe not the Silver Eye reveal, but you know. But it's still like an episode that it kind of stands on its own merits outside the larger Ruby world.
If you're going to show somebody who's never watched Ruby an episode of Ruby to be like, you should watch this would be one of the episodes you might show them. This and like chapter 8 of volume 1, the Nevermore fight, probably.
Yeah.
The 2 things that immediately come to mind.
Or just the trailers.
Or the trailers, yeah, obviously. Sounds like we have to stay on guard for the coming weeks of the volume. Yes, I'm going to be very vigilant with my social media use in the next... You know what? I'm just going to ban the word Ruby on my Twitter. You know, that's a better idea. Let me just go onto Twitter and just mute any post with the word Ruby in it. That should solve my problems. I still see spoilers, I guarantee it. I might...
somebody accidentally puts in Ruby.
I'm actually going to go do that after the podcast because I'm fucking sick and tired of it. I can't stay off Twitter entirely, Pishin. I'm a Twitch streamer. Like, I'm on Twitter constantly. I can't stay off Twitter. It's impossible. And, like, I hate that argument that people have where like, just don't go on social media. For 4 days, as a Twitch streamer, I can't not go on social media. It's impossible. I have to be connected with my community. I have to be advertising when my Twitch streams are going live. I have to go on Twitter. That's all there is to it. I can't avoid it. So everyone else can fucking stop spoiling shit. It's pissing me off. Still get spoiled when they misspell Ruby. Well, I'm gonna stop getting angry about it now because it's making me annoyed. It's making me annoyed. It needs to stop.
I can feel the salt here.
I know, the vinegar is strong today. I'm literally going to address it in my reaction to Chapter 7.
I think the reason that the reason you're annoyed is because it was such a big spoiler.
It was a huge fucking spoiler.
Yeah. Because like we'd seen little things here and there, and it was annoying, but not too bad. But this is just like a huge spoiler, and there's just it was just like too much. It
it just tells you exactly what the whole episode is going to be.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. We know what the entire episode is going to contain now. What I will make a prediction on is the runtime. I'm thinking 17 minutes.
Yeah, I think we're going to get not as long as this episode, but it definitely has to be above 15 minutes.
Yeah, because I think they're... Yeah, I'm not going to say... Yeah.
If they're going to do more story dump, then... Yeah, 17 minutes.
Right.
Have a bowl of Neapolitan ice cream to feel better. That will not help. 17 minutes at least. I would think at most 17. Or maybe 18 at most. Because this chapter was quite long. This was over 20 minutes. So,
I mean, it would be nice and pleasant if we got like a 25-minute episode, but that won't happen.
Let's just get... You know what? It's going to be 30 minutes long.
Let's just do it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
One of these days we'll get a volume of Ruby that's consistently 22-minute plus long episodes, like an actual anime. That would be nice. But one day.
That won't happen until volume 14.
Maybe.
I'm kind of curious how Junior will take the news. I know Jean's gonna flip his shit when he finds all of this out.
Yeah.
Oh, Jean.
Oh, yeah. Jean. Well, clearly he already flipped his shit in the intro.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they have to get back to Junior at some point and spill all the beans, and Jean is going to flip his shit.
I feel like Nora and Ren would just kind of be like...
Nora and Ren are kind of passive in general, so...
Poor Oscar's gonna, like, be treated like crap.
I know. I'm
not
like,
me.
John, relax.
It's not my fault.
Remember that he's just a precious little bean and it's not his fault. They're not going to show us Junior next episode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I am expecting to see them by Chapter 8, please. For goodness sake.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them until the latter part of this volume, if at all.
Yeah. Chapter 8, for goodness sake, please, because there'll only be 6 left after that. And I'm like, that is most of the volume.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're halfway
I'm just hoping
next
that
week already.
I think that we're going to be getting, like, a little 2-episode arc starting here. That'll be, like, I don't know, chatty, silver-eyed warrior exposition. And then they'll move on to finishing the season in Argus.
Why is it the blondes in Ruby are the most volatile? Yang, Jean, Salem, etc. That's right, Salem was a blonde. Yeah.
Sun, though. Sun's very not volatile.
Sun's not volatile. He's blonde. Sun's an idiot, though. We love him. He's an idiot, but we love him. What was I going to say? I can't remember. It's too early. I'm too tired. It's 11 a.m., but whatever. Even Ren has his snark moments. Yeah, he's gotten angry. Ren's gotten angry before, but I feel like this isn't a thing that he would necessarily flip his shit over, but Jean's going to flip his shit.
The last time we saw Ren show, like, any emotion was the thing that killed his parents and everybody he knew.
Yeah.
Ren's more of a subtle person, though. He's more reserved and generally more calm. And I feel like his semblance is a lot of indication towards that. And Nora's just gonna do whatever Ren does. So, but I feel like Nora will be annoyed, but I don't know if she'll have too much to say about it. I don't know if Ren will have anything to say about it, but Jean is gonna be pissed. Nora and Ren feed on that same energy, yeah. Nora uses it all. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap this up because we're approaching the 2-hour mark. I'm surprised we managed to get that done in such short time as well.
I mean, there really was, like, just run through the episode and then talk about the big event.
Yeah, the big event. So, yeah, I'm just... I want to predict things, but I can't because I basically know what next chapter's going to be.
Yeah.
I will say about Chapter 8, though. I feel like now that we're done with Brunswick... and they're heading off and they've got their trailer, it's not going to be too difficult for them to reach Argus now. I feel like by Chapter 8 we'll be in Argus.
I think Chapter 9.
You think 9? What else could they possibly do in Chapter 8 though?
Well, I feel like
Cinder and Neo.
Yeah,
like,
but that's not going to take the whole chapter.
Or like maybe something with Crow, or I'm just really hoping for something about Crow or something about Summer.
I'm hoping that too.
Summer.
The thing is, though, if we're getting story dump next chapter, which is 7, I don't think we'll get more story dump in 8. Like,
no.
Well, I don't know. Maybe 8 would be like a little story dump with like maybe a little bit of like Silver Eye training.
I would think it'll be story cleanup, kind of like they did with 3 and 4, where just 3 was, you know.
I feel like they've been moving the pace of the story along so quickly this volume. I'm like, by Chapter 8, I feel like they'll be arriving in Argus and looking for Team Junior.
Well, the reason I don't think that is because I'm like, this volume definitely ends with them leaving Argus, like headed to Atlas. Like they aren't actually getting to Atlas this volume.
I'm not so sure. Now, I was thinking that at the start of the volume, but now I'm not so sure because they are moving it along very quickly. We expected Brunswick to last 2 more chapters and it's done already. So I'm like, I feel like they're going to try and get there as quickly as possible now. Like, Chapter 7 is going to be out. Okay, here's some storytelling time. And then after that, they're just going to move it along. And we do need to go back to Cinder and Neo as well. So.
Right.
And I mean, I still think that we also do kind of need to see Adam at some point because we talked about this before. Well, we talked about this before we started the volume even, is that the only way that we can like rationalize the Adam character short existing is if Adam dies this volume.
Please.
And so far we're about halfway through and he hasn't even shown up yet besides PTSD flashbacks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm
not either, but I don't want to see him, but I'm just like, if they don't like, if he doesn't show up this volume and if they don't like kill him this volume, what was the point of the Adam character short?
Yeah, there's going to be some show up.
You're forgetting the Adam character short has no point. That's the thing. It doesn't have a point.
I just think there's going to be some kind of giant face-off with Yang and Blake against Adam.
I honestly would not be upset if the next time we see Adam, he gets killed. I'll be like, okay, I'm happy with that. Like, I literally don't care. I don't want to see him, get him out of my face. Like, I can't stand him. Like, literally to the point where, like, every time he's on the screen, I'm, like, angry. I'm like, go away. I don't care about you. Fuck off. Like, burn every house that's legitimately creepy or has a spider in it. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be upset if, like, the next time we see Adam is the big confrontation and, like, they just lop his head off or something. I'd be like, yay! He's gone. Because I just don't care about his character. I don't care about his story whatsoever. He's irredeemable and Like, I'm just like, I'm so done with Adam.
Plus, I also feel like they're at least trying to set up Miss Malachite as like the under antagonist kind of a thing. So it's like they don't need Adam anymore to fulfill the like minor antagonist role.
He is like, he's so far outstayed his welcome. It's not funny. And at this point, I'm like, what more purpose does he really serve towards the story at this point, apart from Yang and Blake having their moment of revenge? That's the only thing that he can still serve towards the story, because the White Fang is all turned against
gone.
him, so, and they're disbanded now. So, he won't die easily. Well, no, that's what scares me about Yang and Blake ever going up against him, is how formidable he is. And for all of the smack that I talk about him, he's terrifying. He's super powerful, and I'm very scared for those girls. I wish he died as easily as Sienna did. I know, what a waste. I feel like the Adam character short was Artie going, oops, we killed off Sienna. Here you go. Sorry about that. And I'm like, no, you cannot do this now. It's not enough.
And they also still had whoever Sienna's voice talent was from doing Genlock. So they were like, she's here anyway. Let's just like find an excuse to put Sienna back in.
Yeah.
Adam character short.
I agree with you in that we need justification for the Adam character short in the volume, or what was the point. I just forget that it even exists. Because when I saw the Adam character short, it made me worried for the volume. I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. I hope this isn't what the volume's going to be. And the volume's been fantastic. So I'm like, what the fuck was the deal with the Adam character short? I don't understand. But hopefully it makes some semblance of sense towards the end, or we'll leave the volume having gone Adam character short. Yeah, that was the thing. Why? I hope that doesn't happen, but
yeah, that's why I'm like, he has to show up again at some point, and I'm hoping he shows up in Argus.
Probably will in chapter 8, I would say. Probably. It won't be next.
I don't think it'll be quite that soon.
AC asks, with the perspective, how does it affect his character now that we know humans and faunas are equally the lesser species? Yeah, it's interesting. It's not going to affect anything, though, because the general populace isn't aware of any of this. And I don't know if they ever will be.
And even if they are, both the lesser species, the only people that exist anymore are the maidens, Oz, and Salem, who are the superior species.
Well, human beings have a superiority complex naturally, and we know that human beings existed long before the Faunus ever did. The Faunus only came into being after the gods abandoned the world and destroyed the moon. So then the Faunus started appearing. So they're a much younger species. Adam will die the same way he lived, angry. I hope so. Picking up the puppy? What? What is this all about? What puppy? Larissa,
Hi,
what
Larissa.
haven't you told me? Hi. Anyway, we need to wrap this shit up.
I hope his death sound is a ghost
exploding.
scream.
Why does everyone want to talk to me when I'm doing a podcast? Sorry.
Just like Hammer Time tells exactly Vision.
Yeah. Thank goodness for Hammer Time. Seriously. I love those crack videos so much. If you haven't checked them out, you should definitely go and check out Hammer Time on YouTube, because they're amazing. Wade, Jess, thank you so much for joining us. Larissa, you definitely did not tell me about a puppy. I would have remembered. I don't have any messages from you saying anything of the sort. And if you said it on your stream, I was lurking, I didn't hear you. Thank you for joining us, guys, to chat about Chapter 6. Yeah, I did, Larissa, I literally found out an hour ago that you did the Corner of Remnant last night. I didn't even know. No, you didn't tell me! I'm telling you didn't tell me. I had no knowledge of this.
Yeah, Beck was worried about us overlapping with the Corner of Remnant, and I was like, the Corner of Remnant was last night.
Yeah, I knew none of this. Anywho, thank you guys for joining us. If you are watching this on YouTube, the new episode of RWBY Volume 6, Chapter 6 is out right now on roosterteeth.com. There will be a link in the description. You can watch it for free. You don't even need an account, so I don't want to see any complaints about not being able to watch it, because you can watch it. It's just as simple as watching it on YouTube. So you can go there to watch the episode, and also if you're watching this now on YouTube, my reaction and Cory's reaction will be out, so I'll leave links to them in the description as well, and we will see you next week for our discussion of Chapter 7. I nearly said 8. I'm getting really confused. I can't believe the volumes on this.
We've been
We've
saying
talking
8
too much
last...
about 8
Yeah.
because we all know about 7.
I know.
Yeah.
We're just like, our brains are skipping over 7 because now we're like, we know what that is. Moving on. Yeah, so,
Alright.
yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
The
Yeah.